loaf of bread will cost $18 in 2023. This is End Times Forecast. The columnist is an evangelist and gives us from the USA exactly what the Christian Orthodox elder abbot Vasilios Kasokalivitis said. Bread will cost 16 euros and the oil will fly, in other words, in price. With an average price of a loaf of bread, white bread, reaching $18 in 2023, will that happen? In light of Bible prophecy, which is certainly a possibility, here's what I base the claim on. He says, and when he opened, this is according to the book of Revelation, the Apocalypse, and when he opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see, and I saw and beheld a black horse, and he that sat upon it had a scale in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four animals saying, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see that you do not harm the oil and the wine. Revelation 6, 5, and 6. As I've stated many times in my writings of this blog, I believe it possible that seals 1 and 2 have been opened, and so far seal 3 is next. And as you can see above, seal 3 includes inflation to the point where a yard of wheat costs a penny and 3 yards of barley cost the same. Now, what do these biblical amounts and prices mean to us today? Consider what these commentators are saying. A quart of wheat for a denarius and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius. These prices are about 12 times higher than normal. It means that it would cost a day's wages to buy the ingredients for a loaf of bread. This describes, quote, a time of famine when life will be reduced to the bare necessities, end quote. And chapter 6:6, a denarius, a Roman silver coin that had a nominal purchasing power equal to 10 kilograms of wheat or 30 kilograms of barley. 1 quart of wheat was a daily ration for a soldier. So if a denarius could buy 10 kilos, and after the opening of seal 3 it can now buy only 1 kilo, its value has increased tenfold. So according to these analysis, during seal 3 the price of wheat would rise 10 to 12 times, and therefore the price of bread would rise at least as much. According to official statistics, the average price of the loaf of white bread in the U.S. in 2020 was about $1.45. 10 times that would bring us about $15 for a loaf of white bread, and 12 times that would be about $18 for a loaf of bread. Well, so what would happen in seal 3? Will it open in 2023? Will the price of bread rise to $18 per loaf? Here's what some financial guys are saying about the economy in general. So when the real estate bubble burst, all of these assets had to be revalued to much lower values, leading to the collapse of the global banking system during the great financial crisis of 2008. What did the Federal Reserve do to address the situation? They tried to squeeze and create a bubble in the U.S. government bonds, also called treasuries. These are the top asset class in the world. These bonds act as the foundation of our current financial system in the United States, with their yields representing the risk-free rate of return against which all assets, stocks, bonds, real estate, etc., are valued. So simply put, when the Fed created a bubble in these bonds, it actually created a bubble in everything, because all assets classes could eventually appreciate based on the performance of treasuries. This is why I coined the term everything bubble, quote unquote, in 2014. And that bubble has now burst. The yield on the benchmark 10-year U.S. Treasury bond broke a 35-year downtrend. The era of serial bubbles is over, and there is nothing the Fed can do to remedy the situation. Besides, what can the Fed do? There's not a larger and more systemically important asset class that the Fed could use to create another bubble, and introducing more emergency monetary policy would worsen the situation. According to Gaines Payne's Capital, Attorney John Titus is a keen observer of the Fed, and it has some of the most popular videos on the web explaining complex Federal Reserve actions and policies. John Titus says the Fed is in a dangerous situation where the slightest wrong move in either direction could cause a financial system meltdown worse than 2008. Titus explains, quote, when you have a debt-based monetary system and you take away the drugs, you run the risk of foreclosure processes that can become very unpleasant, and it's exactly what happened in 2008. You start this downtrend deflationary spiral, and suddenly people start asking for loans. God guarantees are not good, and we all know what happened in 2008. That's why the Fed needs to be careful now. They are between a rock and a hard place. They don't want the money supply, the bank money supply, and the retail level to explode. They need to stop this. They have stopped this on the one hand, but on the other hand, they don't want the spiral of deflation. The last thing in the world they want is a twin nightmare. You have wild inflation, and by the way, nobody has a job and nobody has money. The money you have does not buy anything. The Fed is staring, unquote. Titus argues that the Fed has printed more money than ever before and at a much faster rate than ever before. Titus warns, the confetti party has a way of ending rather ignominiously and abruptly. And the source is U.S. Watchdog. Now, and yet another one, Garrett just warned investors to prepare for a hyperinflationary collapse. So will 2023 be the year we see the black horse ride? Will the Jubilee year we are in now be the year the markets crash and we see hyperinflation as we have predicted? Predictions. If Seal 1 and 2 have already been opened, then 2023 could be the year we see Seal 3, the hyperinflationary economic collapse and famine that could follow a great earthquake. Joe Brandt's horse was named Blackie, by the way. Seals 1 and 2 have been opened. Is Seal 3 next? Remember that 2021, 2022 was a Shemita year, and 2022-23 is a Jubilee year. And historically in these years, the stock markets do not do well. So I issued a prediction of a recession, and here's what happened. In 2022, the Dow lost about 9%, the S&P about 19%, and the Nasdaq about 33%. I expect this economic downturn to continue and accelerate in 2023. Also, watch the Elul 29, the last day of Jubilee year, which is a date that has the potential for a major crash. On our calendar, that would be Friday, September 15th of this year, 2023. Elul 29. Will 2020 year be the year Seal 3 opens, or has it already opened? Remember that horses gallop slowly compared to other means of transport. If the last 7 years started in 2020, then I say yes, 2023 will be the year that we see the results of Seal 3, and the loaf of white bread will rise to at least $15. If the last 7 years did not start in 2020, then we have more time. Are you prepared for what then happens? For when that happens? So you can watch and pray that ye may be counted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and to stand before the Son of Man, as written in Luke 21:36. This is from End Times Forecast Blogspot, and I've translated this for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box